Hey guys, it's Danny. Today, very exciting video. We are going to unbox two plants, one of which is an orchid. The other one is it's a plant that I really want. Had it before, it died. It's a warocqueanum, Anthurium, warocqueanum. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but anyway, I purchased these from Ecuagenera, which makes this the first time that I order from them, so I thought I should document this. Now, I live in the EU, and as you know, Ecuagenera is in Ecuador, but as I found out, they actually bought a very popular German nursery here in the European Union. So they deliver to the European Union without having to issue phytosanitary certificates through Germany. So that's how I ordered from them. I don't live in Germany, by the way. The transport to Cyprus is 70 euros. It is what it is. These things cannot necessarily be helped or fixed by the company. And I know the drill. Living on an island means extra costs. But anyway, let's put all that aside. Let's concentrate on the plants we have here. And before we start, don't forget to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it, and why not subscribe? I post very frequent here on this channel, right? Let me open this in such a way that all of the addresses and stuff don't become visible. Alrighty then. The moment of truth. What do we have here, and is it alive is what I'd like to know. Got a lot of paper. The tiny one is the orchid. Yep, I'm gonna keep on the suspense. I'm not gonna tell you what orchid I got. We're gonna start with the Queen Anthurium because I told you I got it. Oh, it's tiny. Oh, I thought it would be bigger. It's okay though. Please be okay. Oh, I see a little leaf. I see more leaves. I see the beauty of all beauties that is beautiful in the world. I cannot tell you guys how much I like this plant, honestly. All right, here we have it. Or should I say here we have her, the Queen Anthurium, a beautiful plant. Isn't she? Well, she's a little finicky. She can be. That's why I created a very high humidity chamber for her. That's where she will sit. I'm not gonna go ahead and unpack her fully. I'm not gonna repot her today. I need to be like in that mood to do a proper job. So I will film that process. Don't worry about it. For now, I'm gonna sit her in this decorative pot. These are from IKEA, by the way. Also the trays from IKEA. I'm telling you guys because many people actually ask in the comments, so I'm gonna put her like this in the cabinet and we're gonna take care of her some other time. By the way, many people ask me why I call some plants he and some plants she. It has to do with Latin grammar. So for example, this actually should be a he in my language because Anthurium is masculine. Is it? It sounds masculine in my language, so I would call this plant him just because it makes sense in my language. But the plant doesn't produce like male flowers or things of the sort. It has nothing to do with biology. But since this one is called the Queen Anthurium, I will call her she. Although Anthurium, it's masculine in my language, but that's all there is to it. I know some people always ask, and I make it a point to address it from time to time for those of you who are new, just so you know, because I'm sure you're curious. Next up, we have an orchid, and I'm not gonna keep you waiting. It's a Miltoniopsis. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I don't do good with Miltoniopsis because they tend to be rather cool growing, and I live in a Mediterranean climate. I don't actually live in Romania. Even though I'm Romanian, I moved to Cyprus. And the climate here is a sort of subtropical Mediterranean. This is how they would describe it. It's not the same subtropical you will find anywhere else in the globe because the Mediterranean has some influence. It doesn't rain much here in the summertime. There's nothing to cool down the weather in summertime, and summer is very long. So everything that is kind of cool growing doesn't really do all that great here in my climate unless I make sure to chill the air around it, which I just don't do at the moment. I might do in the future. Now it's not the time. But this Miltoniopsis is supposedly, I'm hoping though, this one is supposed to be a bit more warmer growing. We'll see about that. This is Miltoniopsis phalaenopsis. How about those names? Is it a phalaenopsis? Is it a Miltoniopsis? No, it's a Miltoniopsis, don't worry. And some of you might recognize how this one looks like. Oh, it looks good, yay! Because I actually had what I believe to be a hybrid of this orchid long time ago. it actually didn't do all that bad until one day lost it. I think it had to do with the leca. It was a failed experiment that didn't work so well with that Miltoniopsis. But from all of the other Miltoniopsis that I had at the time, I remember the Phalaenopsis, which this one is a species. That one was probably a commercial hybrid that had quite a lot of Miltoniopsis phalaenopsis genetics. I feel like I'm contradicting myself when I say this name. It's like saying Cattleya oncidium, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, garden salad pizza. Ooh, that would be a great pizza. Yeah, so I feel like that one actually did okay up until a point, right? So that's why I purchased it again. It's not something I find readily available in Europe, not that often. That's why I got it. We'll see how it does. It looks great. So these have been the two plants, and you know what? I might actually pick up this video when I repot both of them because I feel like we filmed nothing so far. It's very uninteresting. I just unboxed two plants, not even a full unboxing haul. It's just two plants. Yeah, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna pick this up when I'm gonna repot these guys. I don't know when this will be. It is Friday today, and in the weekend I have greenhouse work, which I don't. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna take it easy this weekend because I kind of need to take it easy because this guy, this is my birthday present to myself. I'm very happy with it. So, you know, I should keep it clean and things of the sorts. Maybe I'm gonna skip working this weekend and maybe I can work a little bit, film some videos. So yeah, bottom line, we're gonna pick this up whenever we're gonna pick it up and we're gonna repot the two little plants. So I'll see you then. All right, so here we are a couple of days later. It's very early morning. I've had these plants in my rootstock cabinet, my humidity chamber. If you're interested in that cabinet, just a PS, you'll find the link down below to me assembling that thing. It's really nice. I really, really like it. So as you can see, they're perfectly fine, but I don't know how wet they are. I feel like they're kind of dehydrating, so it is time to repot them. So let's just start with the Queen Anthurium. They will be potted in a very similar manner because guess what? Both of them are epiphytes. So if I really wanted to, I could actually use the same type of medium. I'm not going to because the Anthurium is a little bit more thirsty than the Miltoniopsis. Can you believe that? Although, I'm not sure. I think they're very similar. You cannot compare the Anthurium to a Phalaenopsis, but to a Miltoniopsis, maybe. But I'm not gonna use exactly the same media. I'm gonna talk about it, don't worry. So let's just start with this guy. So let's see what we got here. I can see this was a cutting because you see the very big stem right here. I can only imagine how big and beautiful the mother plant was from which this cutting was taken. And I'm really hoping to find roots. It has been packed very, very well. Oh wow, we do have roots. And luckily for it, I'm gonna use a very similar potting mix. Wow, there we have it. Okay, so as I can see, and I will give you a close-up because I'm sure you cannot see, the stem extends all the way here. So yeah, the mother plant was humongous. Wow, I can only imagine. Otherwise, I feel like this plant has a wonderful root system. It looks absolutely fantastic. The potting mix appears to be cocoa peat. I see some perlite. I might see some slow release. No, that's just root tips. You know what? I don't want to disturb it way too much. It has been rooting here beautifully, and this potting mix is not really all that compacted, to be fully honest. Alright, the pot that I'm gonna use is a transparent orchid pot, not necessarily because the roots need to photosynthesize or anything of the sorts. This is actually not necessarily important with orchids either, but I can definitely see how the roots are growing, if the medium is okay, if I have issues, which is super helpful if you're a beginner with these things, which I kinda am. I lost my first warocqueanum, so let's not call myself an expert of any sort, right? I also punched in some extra ventilation holes. Again, this is quite helpful for epiphytes, and I did so with a cheap soldering iron. This is not a pot that came like this. It's actually a very old pot. I keep reusing the same pots for more than 8 years now, and they last. As long as I don't keep them in direct sunshine for those UV rays to degrade the plastic, but they don't actually degrade that fast. So let's just put a layer of medium. I'm using the IKEA brand of cocoa peat. It's called Odla. I think it's very good. I used it for a few years now and I'm happy with it. And the barks, the bark chips, are the Zoom Med Reptibark, which again I've been using for several years and I'm pretty happy with it. It's not the most long-lasting bark, it's not Orchidera, but I'm quite okay with it since I find it locally and I don't need to pay transport or things of the sort. So I'm gonna keep about the same level of depth, maybe just slightly lower, so I can actually add a layer of bark chips on top. You know how I do it? I think it looks really nice. And it actually helps out even with fungus gnats, I've observed. I don't know if it was because it was summer and it was very hot, or it actually does help in the past 2 years or so. I think you've noticed even in my videos, fungus gnats don't keep flying around like they used to at some point. And this is ever since I switched to my current repotting routine, which implies a top layer of bark chips, not for fungus gnats, it's to prevent algae. But as an indirect consequence, the fungus gnat population decreased in my grow space as well. All right, so to help out this potting mix with placement, I'm just gonna insert a bamboo skewer and just to wiggle it a little bit on the sides, just to make everything go down nicely. There we go. Cocoa peat definitely is not super good looking to my eyes, but bark, look at that. Very pretty, isn't it? Oh no. Forgot to add the slow release fertilizer. It's okay, let me show you how I'm gonna do it. So I take a few beads, I place them on top, and then get my bamboo skewer and just wiggle them in. And in this way, I'm not gonna create a whole mess and I don't need to repot. By the way, I always list most, if not all of the products that I am currently using down below in the description. So always check descriptions because I do add a lot of information. Sometimes when people leave me comments asking what I'm using and I don't always see all of these comments. So just so you know, I do try to post a lot of information in the description. So check it out. You might find something you're interested in. And you don't have to wait around forever for me to reply. There we go, we're done. So I'm gonna give it a good watering. I'm gonna be using my reverse osmosis water. These guys apparently are a little sensitive to the salts and I live in an area which has hard water. I always combine reverse osmosis water with a little bit of tap water whenever I water my orchids, but my orchids can handle it. I don't know about this one. So I'm just gonna be using filtered water for now and we'll see how it goes in the future. And we'll tackle the Miltoniopsis. By the way, I think I've kind of had a change of hearts about the Miltoniopsis. I might actually use the same medium. Miltoniopsis are very thirsty orchids. They really don't like to dry out, even though they are epiphytic. They do live in very high moisture environments, cloud forests and things of the sorts. So a medium that can suit a Phalaenopsis is not really necessarily all that suitable for a Miltoniopsis. All right, so this one has a lot of slow release fertilizer. This one is potted in bark chips. It is small grade bark with some sponge rock and slow release fertilizer. I think it looks okay. Some of the roots are definitely not all that okay. I need to wet them because they're not very wet. I also have a rotting pseudobulb here, which is fine. Let's just remove it. Ta-da! All done. So typically when you water the roots, you will see a slight difference in coloration. I'll give you a close-up. If you see the roots going very brown, that's not a good sign. Typically it means they are dead. Live roots tend to stay a little bit lighter in color, but the best way to tell is by pressing gently on them. Now with this orchid, you can see the roots are very thin and there are a lot of roots here. Pressing on each and every one of them will take forever. Let's just not do that. And just do our best to remove the vast majority of the dead roots, which is very important because if you don't remove them, they will start to break down, just like any other organic. They will acidify the environment and spoil the new medium practically because they will retain moisture. They're just like a sponge, orchid roots. That sponge is really useful because the root will absorb the water in the sponge. If the root is dead, there will be nothing absorbing the water from the spongy material and it will just stay there, be extra wet in the pot and mess up everything pretty much. So I'm just gonna cut away all of these dead roots. I try to follow it back to the base of the pseudobulb and cut it from its very base. All right, I think we're okay. Maybe there are a few more not so good roots. Not sure if they're gonna make it, but it's okay. We don't have a whole lot of roots here. I think the majority of these are alive, and if I didn't do a good job, I have a transparent pot, so I can clearly see if the pot stays a little too wet for too long, or we have some molds or things of the sorts. Another thing that I wanna do, because this is a brand new orchid, I know nothing about it, I want to spray the root system with hydrogen peroxide 3%. Hold up. So the reason for spraying the root system with hydrogen peroxide is snails. Snails, the tiny little bush snails, oh my goodness, they love to munch on brand new roots, especially the root tips. And if left unchecked, they can actually decimate the entire orchid. Not eat it, but because it's continuously going to munch on the roots, at some point the older roots will just die off, as normally they do. They don't last forever, and the orchid will not have any new roots, so it will deplete itself. It will just dehydrate until it's just gonna succumb. So we don't want that. Hydrogen peroxide has been shown in my 8.5 years experience of using it on YouTube. You can go back in the archive if you want. It has been shown to completely eliminate bush snails together with their eggs. If done properly, if all the roots are covered and touched by this, then no bush snail can escape. A 3% concentration can actually be found at human pharmacies, maybe veterinary pharmacies as well, since it's a solution typically used on wounds as well. And honestly, I wouldn't go higher than 3% in concentration. You don't need more than that, and more than that can actually burn the fragile root tips. This one doesn't actually harm anything. And you can purchase it directly as a 3% concentration, so you can just use it out of the bottle, put it in a spray bottle if you want, use it directly as it is. You don't even need to rinse it, because after the initial reaction, which you'll hear, it's like a fizzing. Let me see. Can you hear this? I don't know. It's normal for it to fizz. After that reaction, all you'll have here is water. The oxygen will just go in the air. So no need to rinse anything. You're not gonna be left with anything you don't want. Alrighty then, so just like with the Anthurium, I'm gonna place medium around my orchid, and this time, I shall not forget the slow release fertilizer. I like to place my slow release fertilizer in the upper layers because with watering, you are actually going to direct all of those nutrients downwards. If you put them at the bottom, you cannot really drag them up all that much, so the orchid will only have access to them at the bottom. Only the segment of roots at the bottom will be able to absorb nutrients. Not ideal, right? So if you put them in the upper layers, there's a much higher chance to have more nutrients throughout the pot. At least this is what I'm thinking, so that's why I like to place it there rather than at the bottom or anything. And also not at the top, because we want the slow release beads to be in contact with moisture. And right at the top, you don't have a lot of moisture, you have a lot of contact with air. So the slow release fertilizer will just not release. You want it at a layer which does stay quite moist. So I'm gonna water this one as well and come back with some final thoughts about Ecuagenera and the process and the plants themselves. And here we are. So my final thoughts on Ecuagenera, well, I wasn't expecting to have a bad order because I know about Ecuagenera for a lot of years. It's actually a very popular nursery when it comes to orchids. I didn't know they can deliver to Europe without having to need phytosanitary certificates and all of that extra expense. I don't know if this is a recent thing, maybe it is, but I'm happy that I have another opportunity to order from a website because to my location, not everybody sends. I know, weird, but some people just downright refuse to send to my location, even though I tell them I'm okay with the price of transport. I'm not gonna go into that. So I'm very, very happy it exists and they're sending to my location. The process was pretty easy. You order online. The communication with the store was super, super good. I got contacted and kept up to date throughout the process. So A+ for that, really. I had no complaint. And regarding the plants, again, they look pretty great. I have nothing to complain about. This plant for $80 looks fab. If you guys don't know, this is one of those expensive type of plants. It is such a super popular and adored plant. It's very common, but it's just quite expensive at the moment, at least. The Miltoniopsis, no, it's priced pretty adequately, just like many other Miltoniopsis on the market. I found more expensive Miltoniopsis locally here, but yeah, that has to do with each flower shop. And as you could see, the root system was pretty great on both plants. I cannot really ask for a lot of roots on Miltoniopsises. Is that the plural? They're kind of finicky orchids. I will keep both of these guys in the rootstock cabinet. I'm gonna see about this one. Hopefully it's not a very, very cool grower, because I don't do cool growing orchids. It's hard here in this climate, but we'll see. At least for humidity, that arrangement is great. I'm gonna link you down below to their website, and just so you know, again, if you're new to my channel, I never go to nurseries and say, hey, I'm gonna make this video for you, send me some orchids. That never happens. These guys have no idea who I am. I'm just another customer. I want the customer experience, because that's what I'm reviewing, right? Not the YouTuber experience, am I right? So yeah, I have nothing to complain about. My review is good. I give them a thumbs up. You can watch other reviews here on YouTube as well. They do ship to USA, maybe Canada as well. I'm not sure, just send them an email. So I'm sure USA and European Union. Other locations, I'm not sure. An email never hurts, just ask them. I'm very happy with my purchases. I might purchase more in the future because they do have very, very good prices, since they grow these orchids almost in their natural habitat in Ecuador. Yeah, totally awesome to buy a plant, which here in the European Union, I find at 200, 300 euros, a smaller cutting than this. Buy it for $80, which is like 70 euros, 65, 70 euros. I know, transport, a little high, but I'm used to high transport anyway. Everybody who sends to Cyprus demands high transport because it's just the nature of things. It's an island. We cannot use many routes, like roads and things, which are the cheaper versions. It is what it is. I'm sure that with other locations, transport will be much lower than for me. You will see on the website, it's between 20 and 30 euros or something like that. Anyway, enough blabbing. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. You have links below to many things. Just check the description. And yeah, stay tuned for updates and hopefully a lot more videos about this guy. Because, oh my goodness, isn't he beautiful? Or she's a queen, sorry. So with that said, I hope you have a great day. Subscribe to my channel for more orchid videos, tutorials, experiments, updates, and other fun orchid subjects. If you wish to support the channel, do consider becoming a member or visit the merch store linked down below in the description. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. It's always nice to stay in touch there as well. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!